What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Zcash today. It is the 22nd day of November, and here we are sitting at about $520 with 7 hours left in the day. I must admit, I was not expecting this drop at all. If we were expecting a drop at all, it would have been, let's see, from a low to a high. Would have been, I mean, at the most of $523. But man, the fact that he went all the way down to 469 was a bit intense. I wasn't even expecting that we'd pull down to 523, but the fact that we went below the golden ratio is quite incredible. If we're looking at this, first and foremost, hit the like button, subscribe. Um, and I do want to say that I still believe we will see higher prices. I still believe in that. So if anybody's here to say or wonder, okay, but are we still moving higher? We've moved down. Are we still moving higher? Are these 877 to $930 target areas? Is that still on the table? Yes, it absolutely is still on the table. We still have higher lows, and the fact that we actually ripped all the way down to the 786, I think, is kind of interesting. That might provide a nice slingshot to the upside. We'll see, but not financial advice, not a financial advisor. Where up here, we were kind of advocating for the sell. Then here we were heavily advocating for the buy. Here we weren't advocating for the sell or the buy. Now I would like to advocate for the buy. Okay, not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but from here to where I think we're going at a minimum, I mean, that's a 70% gain. That's decent enough to where I would say, yeah, let's buy. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. Buying below $600, I think, is not a problem. But let's be clear as well. You are up a very large amount since August, since July, since April. You're up a large amount, considerable large amount. If you're buying here, you need to have tight stop losses that get you out of this position before we hit $400, right? I don't care if your stop losses are at 440 or maybe they're just below this low here at 470, whatever it might be, but I would have tight stop losses if I was buying here, right? No exceptions. If we break that low, we're out. We're out. You take that loss and then you put it in something else and then hope it works out on the next one, right? But you don't let it ride all the way back down, because this will, if we pull back from here, we will likely go below $300, which from here, I don't think anybody wants to deal with that, because it's not that it won't come back. In time, it will come back. You'll seem like a genius for buying here in time, but you might feel dumb for a few months before that happens. And to avoid that, I would say have some tight stop losses. But again, with that being said, to make it a little confusing, I think it is a good time to buy. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. The reason I think it's a good time to buy is because we're at the base of this consolidation phase, of which I think will take us to something around $900, give or take, right? Looking at the short-term stuff, looking at the 1 hour time frame here. If we take this, I want to take the low to the high. That's what I want to do. So let's take this right here from a low to a high right here. And we're not going to take the fake out high. You tipped the 786. Typically, when you rip through your golden ratio on the first attempt, you're supposed to find support here, right? And you found a little bit of support. I'll say a little bit of support there, but you didn't get to the 0.5 or the 382. I would say because you ripped through and went to the 786, there's a statistical probability that we do go back to this 236. Typically, when you rip through the to the 786, you either find resistance at the 382 or the 236, and oftentimes you even go through the 236. So something from here to $641 at least sounds appropriate. If you find resistance at 641 and we happen to come back below 550, something like that, if we were to do that, at that point I might start getting bearish. At that point I might start considering that we see lower prices and that this is just a slow conversion into lower prices, unfortunately. But if we can get back above the 236, if we can, especially if we can see higher highs and break above this $700 level again, I would very much be convinced that like with unshaking confidence that we were moving up to that $900 area. I'm very convinced now that we move up to $900, but again, it's just these scenarios that are important to kind of understand. If we move up out of the golden ratio and we come back into it, we will likely go lower, okay? If we move up to the 236 and we move back down to the 0.5, I suppose is okay, but below the 0.5 might not be okay, all right? We get above the 236 on a daily closing basis at all. We close above $700. We're on our way to higher prices. Okay. Looking at the 1 hour indicators here, and again, those are just the two scenarios. I'm saying it the way that I'm saying it is like you could do this or you could do this, but my obvious perspective is that we are moving higher, right? That's my perspective, and people get confused sometimes. I find it funny whenever trolls show their lack of comprehensive capabilities. Because I will address both sides, but then I always address which side I'm favoring. I'm not addressing both sides so that if the price goes lower, I can say, ha, I was right. I told you that this is what would happen. I never do that. That's a cheap gimmick. A lot of YouTubers do it. You'll never find me doing that ever. I think it's just as annoying as everybody else does. I don't get why people do it because it's so obvious. It's very easy to figure out. If you have YouTubers that are deleting videos constantly too because of prior calls, like that, it's very obvious to see that that kind of stuff matters. I don't care about being right or wrong. Right? I just care about making money, and I care about you guys making money too. And I think that we're in a really good position to do that. I really do. But if this is a bear flag, there's actually another situation that we haven't talked about. Is that if this is a bear flag, if we do take out this low, if we go below $477, I would say at that point there's just a good chance. There's a good chance that we do proceed to prices that are below $300, you guys. Okay, or at least around there, if not below there. Okay. So do be aware of that. We do not want to break $470 from here. Back testing the golden ratio for resistance and then progressing lower is what you see typically when you're going to your extensions, which your minimum extension from here is at 360. So again, it's very volatile. I do think it's a good time to buy. I could be wrong, and if I am wrong, we'll know because we get below 470. At that point, I would become bearish. At that point, we're not bullish anymore. Okay, understand that. That's why, again, it's a good time to buy, but risky because we're up so high overall. I still do believe that we're going to move higher. Lower lows in the RSI, lower lows in the price. Kind of in a downtrend, aren't you? Right? Lower lows, lower highs throughout all this, but you're in the oversold zone now. Stochastics are coming up out of the oversold zone, which is nice. The MACD, not really helpful. I suppose the last time that we were down this low, we did find a low in the price, so there's that. Overall, it does seem as though maybe we're not in a consolidation phase. Maybe we're not in a ascending triangle. Maybe this was it, and we've broken out of it, and maybe there is lower prices to consider. So with that, again, just be apprehensive about this $470 level. Okay, be aware of it. Okay, if we break that, we likely do break this low, and if we break that low, we likely do go toward like $365 or lower. Okay. I still am expecting higher prices. The target area that I'm considering from a high to a low here is something around $877 to $930. The 1272 here lines up right with 870. The 1414 right there at 940. We could go just under 877. We could go just above 930. I doubt that we reach $1,000 personally, but anything can happen. Looking at the daily time frame here, we do have that bearish divergence, which it's already played out. This is not an extension of that. Maybe it is, but I don't think that it is. We have lower lows in the RSI with higher lows in the price. It's hidden bullish divergence, lower lows in the stochastics, and we're at the same area that we bounced from before. Higher lows in the price, hidden bullish divergence, lower lows in the MACD histogram, lower lows in the oscillator, higher lows in the price, hidden bullish divergence on every indicator that we have, and we're at relative areas to bounce, to be completely fair. Maybe not on the MACD, but on the stochastics and the RSI, we are. I very much am confident that we will see higher prices. And again, the $877 target really comes from this price here. If we take last cycle's high to the bear market low, it's just absurdly uncommon to stop below this level right here. You break out to new highs, it would make the most sense to hit this level. Now, I'm not the only person that's aware of this. Maybe there's some front running going on. Maybe there's some selling pressure. We're a little bit below 877 in my opinion, but with enough money, if you're trying to offload, I get it. You'll prevent the price from going up here if you're trying to offload. But I think here $516. We got 1 day, 7 hours left. We've seen wicks down here before. 2 weeks ago, we've seen wicks down lower. Last week, we're just in the same area, just trying to throw people off, make them convinced that Zcash is not going higher. It's going to go down, and then we'll surprise the world. It'll go higher. Everybody will FOMO in at the top. At that point, oh my God, it's going to break $1,000. We're going all the way up to $3,000. There's going to be absurd calls that convince people to get in, and likely at that point we go down. Likely at that point, that is where we return to $260 or thereabouts. I do believe that when we correct, and this is why, again, talking about the risk, we're at $517 now. Even though I think it's a good time to buy for this short-term play, not for the long term, but for a short-term play, I think it's a good time to buy. For the long term, I think there's better prospects out there. Buy something that's not up 20x in the past 2 months. There's a buy Bitcoin Cash, buy Monero, buy Xano, buy Onyx Coin, buy even Decentraland at this point. Nothing that's up 20x over the past 2 months. But for the short term, I think it is a good buy. But again, the risk here is that being up this high, when we do move up this to this higher level, I would expect and do expect that we pull back to about $260 right here at this 886. We could pull back to the 786. I don't think we go below $200. I personally don't think that, but something between 370 and 250, something in that area, that's what I'm expecting. And from here, that's, again, just understand that there's a lot of downside risk. So you need some tight stop losses, okay? Anyways, I got nothing else for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I very much do expect Zcash will continue to run. You know what's kind of convincing me here that we could have topped off? The only thing that's kind of convincing me is that we're seeing altcoins come to life, right? Not all altcoins, but 23% pump here, 34% pump there, 26% pump here, 31% pump here. This is kind of like the rumblings of Altseason. And there's been a couple of theories that we've had with Zcash here since this run, right? From a high to a low, the first theory was we would top off somewhere between 712 and 927. To be fair, we've achieved that several times. It's the low end, and I think that we go higher, but it has been achieved technically, which is, again, why you need tight stop losses. And then the second theory that I've had is that when Zcash consolidates, that's when altcoins are going to rally. When Zcash consolidates, that's when altcoins are going to rally, and we theorize that Zcash will consolidate anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks. I'm going with 6 weeks personally. And if that's true, that would imply that we're probably not going to pump until the year is ended, until the end of this year here. So I got nothing else for you guys. Thank you all for being here. Hit the like button, subscribe, take care of yourselves. I'll see you on the next one, all right? Bye-bye.